Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Prologue Productions podcast. Meow. My name's Jake.
And I'm Jacob. Just kidding.
Gotcha. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Jake.
That's right.
And if you don't recognize our voices by now, that's fine because we're both generic white guys. Isn't that right, Jacob?
Well, I'd like to think that
You're supposed to go,
unique.
That's right, Jake.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Cut.
I don't like that.
Try it again.
Nope.
Run it back.
Okay.
Isn't that right, Jacob?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking bits. Never like my bits. So, what are we doing today? First of all, again, welcome back. We are going to be recapping our Dragon of Stormwreck, or maybe I think it's Dragons plural.
It is Dragon's Spoiler.
Dragons of Stormwreck Isle adventure here. We've made 3 characters for it. The first being Hyren, the War Turtle, the Hexblade Warlock Turtle. Who we have next?
After that, we have Pyre Tail Weaver. It's going to be a changeling druid, Circle of Wildfire. And then our last character is going to be
Caprico.
Lumerino. Yes, he is a, how you say, paladin of, and a tiefling. Yes.
He's the Oath of the Ancients, so he derives his powers from nature.
I like plants, yes.
And Pyre is Circle of Wildfire druid. Dude, the word.
Hey, sure.
I was doing this all during that episode too. Wildfire, just
Wildfire.
my mouth just can't.
Wildfire. There you go.
And Hyren, like I said, a Hexblade Warlock. So let's dive into Hyren a little bit. So she comes from a turtle background. She's a turtle, and she was part of a little bit of a nomadic turtle family, and they accidentally pissed off a noble who, in classic elitist fashion, went and beat her within an inch of her life and left her for dead. Her family thought she was dead as well. They moved on. They left the city, probably under threat of death, or they were exiled, or what have you. And lo and behold, Hyren becomes a pirate. So that she,
like you do as an adventurer, you know?
Yeah.
Like you do.
You just sometimes you gotta be a pirate.
Yeah. Everyone has their pirate phase, you know?
Oh, for sure.
It's the emo phase of an adventurer is their pirate phase.
It's not a phase, Bob. It's who I am. Yar.
Son, you chopped off your hand. You don't know me, Ma.
Oh my God, that's good. So because she's a Hexblade Warlock, she has Hexblade's Curse, Hex Warrior, lots of warlocky, hexy type things. She is Pact of the Blade, which means that she can apparate a pact weapon from her hand. I think we landed on her pact weapon being a spear.
Yes, it was the weapon of the captain of the ship that she was on, who had taken a liking to her, and in a moment of duress, the captain was either dead or dying, and she picked up the weapon to try and protect the crew, and that had unknowingly sealed the pact for her.
Now she belongs to
whatever this weapon is, or whatever
it represents.
This weapon belongs to.
Exactly. And then we got the bright idea that ship went down, and instead of the classic entrance into Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Stormwreck.
Instead of
Wildfire.
the traditional entrance of Dragons of Stormwreck Isle.
You can't talk to me like this. She washed up on shore.
So Caprico and Pyre actually find her washed up on the beach as they approach.
Absolutely. Or she comes to as their ship comes into the small, like sort of area known as Dragon's Rest.
Mm-hmm. I think literally her being unconscious, literally washed up on shore, maybe earlier that morning or the night before, and just being passed out on shore. Mm-hmm. And then maybe some zombie, spoilers.
This episode.
This is spoilers.
This whole episode is going to contain many spoilers.
Yes.
So we'll try not to do too many during the character recap.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about details of the adventure that if you are a player in a campaign, you may not want to hear. So,
yes. But washed up on shore situation where she'll find out. She's coming late to the party.
Yes, absolutely. It'd be even funny. I can already imagine like role playing that. Being Caprico and Pyre on the ship, and then being like, "Oh, look,
a turtle,
a giant turtle shell."
Oh, I love turtles. It's my favorite
and
animal.
And then suddenly Hiren's weird little head pokes out with a spear.
No, I think they would like shake her awake.
Oh,
like they literally like, that's not a turtle, that's a turtle. I don't know the difference.
And then Pyre's like, we should probably wake her up. I'm thinking something very, I don't know, wistful in tonality.
Wistful yet expressive, which is a weird middle ground to hit somewhere.
I think wistful and expressive don't really mix.
No, they don't. Maybe it depends on how she's feeling that day.
That's true. I mean, we did say, and so, you know what? I think that's good on Hiren. Let's go to Pyre.
Yeah.
So speaking of Pyre, changeling. So all changelings have the ability to basically transform their entire body, and not just magically. They can literally morph their whole bodies into the...
They become a different race, a different person, a different gender. Has to be humanoid.
It can be any gender.
Medium or small.
That's right.
Yes.
And luckily, even the big humanoid races, there's nothing bigger than medium.
None of the playable races are bigger than medium.
And she would basically, as a storyteller, we're going with they.
That's right.
They replaced a child on the prime material plane, as sort of a very whimsical fairy tale aesthetic.
Very European fairy tale-esque story of a fey creature wanting to take this child and plucked it from existence, and then placed Pyre, who later found out that they were a changeling and not always knew that they were as.
Mm-hmm. But because Pyre had the lowest score, I think we rolled a 2 for them on the tragedy meter. Pyre lived a good, normal life up until they became an adult. Parents died of natural causes.
Knew that they were a changeling, and at this point had been raising them for most of their life. So was probably upset and confused, but at the end of the day, they're still who they are. So just kept on their merry life and died of natural causes.
And then eventually, as Pyre went out into the world, they found a group of druids. And again, like we stated, good time to come up with a group of druids or just use the Emerald Enclave. Technically, Stormwreck Isle is off the coast of off the Sword Coast, so could be the Emerald Enclave. That works out just fine. And then they trained Pyre to become a wildfire druid. Mm-hmm. Why is Pyre going to Stormwreck Isle? Well, boy howdy, hey duty. I could keep going, but I'm going to stop. They need to go. They need to go to Stormwreck Isle.
Yeah.
Because there's something that they need to do, a druidy thing, whether it be burning out a blight or they heard stories. I think part of,
or even just Pyre being drawn to this location
because of a story.
For a story, or this is especially Pyre's kind of middle aged. Her parents, their parents died, and so she's fuck.
She's fuck.
They're looking for new stories to tell. They're looking to make stories of their own. They've been telling stories their whole life, and so they're looking to create stories of their own. So
that's right.
It could be as simple as that.
That's
if you want it to be.
And they're looking to unlock an ancient mystery that is worth the price of a civilization.
Yes.
So that's both of them. I feel like we were a little heavy on Pyre, not so much on Hiren, but we'll get back to Hiren. Our third and final character is the ever put together Caprico.
Lumerlo.
And Caprico's an old tiefling gentleman who was born because two noble parents there's an ailing noble family, and the father made a deal with Mephistopheles.
Or I even like the idea of them being like commoners, commoner family who had made a deal and became nobles because of a deal struck with the devil.
Absolutely.
The devil, Mephistopheles.
Mephistopheles on the 8th level of hell.
Yes.
And due to that deal, their firstborn child, Caprico, came out a tiefling. And that doesn't really fly in, normal noble society. So Caprico got sent away. Caprico got sent away to become a guardian of the estate. But due to his capricious nature, he still maintained a lot of those sort of, those devilish traits. Yes, exactly. And then eventually, Caprico let it slip that he was actually the child of this noble person. And then, that noble family, they had their heritage, you can't have your heritage revoked. They had their titles stripped away.
You just turn into nondescript human person, just
damn it.
Turn into a mannequin.
Turn into a peasant.
A mannequin, just
oh my God. Yeah. And some very interesting little bits about Caprico here. They lie about almost everything, even when there's no good reason to. They are, however, fair. He's, however, fair. He never targets people who can't afford to lose a few coins. And they'll do anything to get their hands on something rare or priceless.
A lot of contradictory traits, being that of a paladin, being striving for justice and fairness while also lying and stealing. Yeah, so, tough. Yeah, very. But
when you think about it like this, in nature,
it's very human.
In nature, it's perfectly natural for things to lie and steal.
Yeah.
So Oath of the Ancients actually, out of all of them, except for like Oathbreaker, works really good.
It's definitely a one that, these traits that make you who you are special, and you should embrace those.
Yeah. Like if you wear glasses and can't grow any hair on your head, you should embrace that.
Yeah, how's that beard coming in for you?
Shut up, dude. I can't. Apparently, I can dish it.
I can't grow it.
I'm working on it. Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I can't grow hair on my face except my upper lip.
Yeah.
But boy, howdy, is it an okay mustache?
Yeah, boy, howdy.
I love saying boy, howdy.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, howdy, do I love saying
howdy, boy.
Now, I think with the characters recapped, and also I think as far as Hyren is concerned, we skipped over her just a little bit. So Hyren, as a warlock, has a lot of really interesting bits going on, little bits. And she wants to bring about change. And she has little respect for anyone who's not a proven warrior.
Mm-hmm. A very headstrong woman, goes great with a paladin. Strives for, not directly, but definitely strives for fairness and equality and strength. And yeah,
absolutely. And also,
I don't think anybody in this party would necessarily butt heads.
Probably not, because Pyre probably is a little too... Pyre just changes into whatever person would be most willing to deal with the situation as a storyteller.
Yeah.
They would be willing to just like transform and be like, now I'm ready to handle this situation, And then Caprico's just too old to give a fuck anymore. Hyren's definitely the headstrong one, though, for sure.
Absolutely.
Also as the youngest, because I think she is like an adult, so like fresh adult, basically. Anyway, let's get into sort of where in the adventure and the relationships that these characters might have together as as the story unfolds.
Absolutely.
We already have some plot hook tie-ins that we discussed for each of these characters. So after Pyre and Caprico arrive on Stormwreck Isle on ship, and then they meet Hyren on the beach. They defeat the zombies. That's the first thing that basically happens is there's these zombies that are wandering around, and they gotta fight them.
Maybe zombies are like gnawing on Hyren's shell.
That would be so funny.
Like trying to gnaw at her shell, but they can't seem to like get they get into it, so they have to come save her. And so she wakes up and
That'd be great. Let's see here. So where in the adventure? So first of all, the characters, and here's where the real spoilers are going to start. First of all, they're going to head to Dragon's Rest, where they're going to meet Rhaenyra, the leader of Dragon's Rest. And a very important, the most important character pretty much in this entire adventure. During that time, they meet a bunch of kobolds. They meet a couple of other people, Varnoth.
Ex-general of the Azure Wolves, which is just a local militia.
Yeah.
Or, I believe...
A mercenary
company, excuse me, yeah. And
then Tarek, a soft-spoken herbalist, a botanist. And both of these characters have secret ties that the characters can find out immediately. If, like, for example, since Varnoth was once the leader of a mercenary company, perhaps, I don't think Hyren is a pirate or Pyre is a storyteller. Maybe Pyre as a storyteller would know.
Pyre is kind of the catch-all for a bunch of things because being a storyteller, but could remember stories of General Varnith Wender.
And then Tarek has used to be associated with this little thieves guild called the Gilded Gallows, and Hyren as a pirate would definitely have heard of the Gilded Gallows.
Yeah.
Maybe doesn't know Tarek, but if they see Tarek's little tattoo, then who knows? Maybe you let them roll that history check.
Yeah, I would even give her advantage at that point.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And this does say, for example, a character with a criminal background automatically succeeds on this check.
Or
Perfect.
pirate.
Or
she
pirate.
She would immediately or roll with advantage, or if you want to give it to him, then just automatically give it to him because they would probably.
And working in characters' backgrounds like that is so.
Yeah.
It makes the characters feel so great because they're like, oh, my background matters. It's remembered.
Exactly.
It's not just like a reason. It's not just another box you had to check.
Yeah, box you had to check that gives you a cool little feature you can use, a handful of times.
Every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I definitely lean into the pirate thing where I'm like, hey.
Yeah, all the time.
Hey, I'm a pirate. Do I know this stuff? Yeah. Can I learn this? Do I know this?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not. You gotta work it.
Yeah. Oh, you know what else is in Dragon's Rest? The Temple of Bahamut. Bahamut. Apparently excessive system clutter has been detected. I'll take care of that later. So once they meet Rhaenyra and they meet all the kobolds, they meet Varnoth, they meet Tarek, basically Rhaenyra starts to tell them like, hey, you are here for a reason, and whatever that reason is, based on these different characters, it's time to come together. It's that call to action. And Rhaenyra starts telling them about all these different things going on around the island here. There's caves, there's a shipwreck, and there's an observatory. And basically they're going to work their way through these different quests, gaining levels, and eventually Rhaenyra trusts them and says, hey, I know where this clifftop observatory is. There's this creature. It's a blue dragon wormling that is basically has taken up residence there. And there's stuff going on in the background that these characters are going to start, they get hints about everywhere they go. And they're going to have to start handling it, while also handling the reasons why they came to Stormwreck Isle. For example, Hyren is just here. She wants to find her family. She got washed up on shore.
And is probably searching for her crew.
And so this is a great moment for players, for you to relay to the players like, okay, this is the time for your group to come together and to create bonds so that your group stays together for the remainder of the campaign. Yeah, go ahead, look around.
I feel like that was very pointed. That was very pointed.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. For those of you who don't know,
Our group has been cagey for about
The most
almost 60
untrusting-
60 sessions.
Oh my God, the most untrusting.
Hey, we're bringing it together. We're bringing it together at the very end. Okay, probably, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Anyway, let's see here. So, plot hooks. Hyren needs to find her way back to her family. She needs to find a crew. She needs to find a ship.
Yep.
Having a powerful druid would be a great way for her to do that. Also, Caprico is really only tied to Pyre because Caprico and Pyre sort of stumbled into each other as Caprico was fleeing or was in exile. Caprico also has people looking for him. And Pyre basically said...
So him just wanting to go wherever they go just for the sake of his own safety, I think makes sense.
Yeah. Finish out his final years of his life doing something that he wants to do. And also being with Pyre as a druid and him being an Oath of the him being a paladin who is going to become Oath of the Ancients because he doesn't take his oath until level 3.
Him being influenced by Pyre with the similar story of being born something that is not socially accepted and being a thing. Yeah, being something that isn't socially accepted and teaching him to embrace those things because that is what the gods intended for you. That is what you became, and that is, something to be celebrated. So definitely goes to that naturalistic approach of the Oath of the Ancients and any sort of druid outlook on life. And
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right, sir.
Yes.
And so yeah, they're all connected. Hyren needs to connect with Pyre and Caprico so that she can find her family. Caprico wants to stay with Pyre because there's a connection, and Pyre wants to do good in the world, wants to burn out the blight on the island. And this is where the Seagrow Caves comes in. There's blight in the Seagrow Caves. They hear about it. They want to go burn it out. And now they have a team of people to go with them and do it. And also, I think Pyre's looking for that mystery in their background could be part of the mystery that Rhaenyra holds, because there's basically like a library in Dragon's Rest, or perhaps it's held somewhere in the Clifftop Observatory, and they're looking for information. And so Pyre's sort of like the crux of this, almost, maybe. Pyre kind of holds them together.
At least in this situation. Yeah, absolutely.
At least for right now.
Yeah.
And I think relationships between the three of them is already pretty easy. Hyren's probably very headstrong, hard charge. Caprico, I like to imagine Caprico is just like doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Not really.
In his old age, He's like, I served my family well for many years.
And this time I'm going to serve myself.
And party a little bit.
And just a little bit. I have to go to sleep by 9:30, but party until 9.
That's pretty funny.
But yeah, heading towards Seagrow Caves because of some blight, which then leads to a shipwreck. And that could even be Hyren's ship. It doesn't have to be a ship that's been there forever. It could literally have been just shipwrecked, and then that's part of, that's part of her crew.
Yeah. Yeah, the cursed shipwreck. Yeah.
See? Beautiful.
Beautiful, right there. Everyone's story ties in just like that.
Just like that.
And you know what else is on the shipwreck? That thing, that item that we were confused about? And we can just place it?
Yes. So on this cursed trip, once they deal with the blight there's a colony of myconids, which are fungal like creatures, anthropomorphic mushrooms, leads to a cursed shipwreck. And this is where they get all their goodies, all their treasures, all the scrolls and all that stuff. And you can roll that up, and they have some suggested things that you can put in there. And there's also there's a nest of harpies, so they get to have some fun with that. I feel like every adventuring party, that's one of the things. You got to fight some goblins or kobolds. You got to fight some harpies. You got to fight a dragon. There's boxes you got to check to be a real adventure. But one of the things on there is on one of the dead bodies. It is a talisman
Of Orcus.
of Orcus. It is this intricately, it's like this intricate, looks like some like Celtic knot or like, what do you call it? No, like a circle or what do you call it? Like a demonic, like pentagram or something like that.
Like a wooden idol or
No,
a hair idol.
It's made of hair.
fetish.
It's made of hair and fingers.
Yeah, it's a fetish.
Yeah. And that could be, you could flavor it to be of Mephistopheles instead of being of Orcus.
That's true.
Orcus is
Or think about it like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be Mephistopheles if you want to do it, which would be a tie-in for Caprico's background. Or this could be maybe what happened to Hiren's ship. Because how long was she? Maybe she was adrift
maybe she was adrift for a long time.
while. And maybe this is her ship that she was on.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe this was the ship that attacked Hiren's ship and
Yeah.
then looted it. Maybe this talisman is actually linked to Hiren's pact in some way, shape, or form.
Ooh.
That could be good.
And then
That could be
Orcus.
fun.
So we've been talking about Caprico, who tieflings are part devil. Orcus is a demon. He's the demon lord or the demon prince of the abyss. So that could be fun.
Yeah.
Having a little bit of that dichotomy, and then maybe the weapon doesn't like Caprico.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
I don't think
They're at odds with each other, aren't they?
yeah.
It's they constantly fight.
Yeah.
Demons and devils. They're at like
No,
constant
demons
war.
and devils, yes.
They're at constant war with each other.
There's a forever war. I think it's called the Blood War or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a war that forever rages between the abyss and the nine hells.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be so great because Hiren is starting to discover maybe her powers are more demonic, that she just got thrust upon her. And Caprico is very firmly devilish.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of tension.
Maybe there's some tension if you want to, you guys are all a party and they're all there to support each other and they're all one cohesive unit, but that doesn't mean there can't be some tension.
Absolutely. Everyone has a little bit of tension.
Yeah. So you can even hint it early on and be like, there's something about Caprico that makes you uncomfortable and you don't know what.
That's great.
Yeah.
And again, according to D&D Beyond, the Hexblade says very specifically a mysterious entity from the Shadowfell. That's all well and good.
Lame.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You can make it a demonic entity from the abyss.
Yeah.
And hey,
It's just a weapon.
it could be this could be a sliver of a weapon that used to belong in like Orcus's armory or something, or maybe it's linked to Orcus through one of his lieutenants or something like that. And then that opens up a whole world, a whole backstory for Hiren of now that she has this.
Or it's ooh.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Orcus's main weapon,
There's the wand of Orcus.
because he was originally, there's the wand, but he was originally a Baelor.
Oh.
So it could be a sliver of his weapon when he was a Baelor, which is the Orcus sword. So it could have been a sliver that had broken off and then was.
Oh.
So maybe it's really jagged and broken, and it almost looks like a hunk of metal almost.
Yeah, I'm imagining like, because if it's a spear, it's a Chinese spear. It's like or not Chinese, Asian influence. It's like sort of a crescent shape.
Yeah.
It's like the long halberd sort of style weapons, like traditional Asian military weapons. I can't remember what they're called right now.
I don't know. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name
because
of
if
it.
Hiren, if we're rolling
Some
into
sort of
that-
polearm weapon.
Yeah, basically a polearm weapon. And it could be like this, this wicked, like jagged chunk of steel that looks like it flaked off of a much larger.
Yeah, and it's like it's wrapped with like leathers and stuff, so it looks kind of like ramshackle, and
That's cool.
so then you can have that sort of at odds with each other a
That
little
would
bit.
be so good. We're already coming up with new stuff for
Look
this
at
character.
this. See, this is why you come back. This is why you come for the recap. Jason, you
Hopefully.
get some Because then it's great. Because once you have the whole picture, and then we start trying to integrate other characters' backstories, then you're like, oh, but what if we do this? Or ooh, what if we like bring this into it? Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's so good.
That's good.
But yeah, that's going to be the cursed shipwreck. It's fighting the harpies, looting the ship. Mm-hmm. Hiren's the pirate. This can be the ship that she was on that could have shipwrecked recently. This could have been shipwrecked a long time ago, and maybe she's actually been on the island for months or years. You can do it that way. Or this was the enemy ship that attacked her, and then see like why did they come after her specifically, and then that can lead down a whole other path of why did they attack the ship?
They were probably, they're definitely after. Maybe they were trying to get the weapon. Maybe it was a bunch of
tieflings.
Maybe it was a bunch of tieflings, or maybe a bunch of tieflings who were working for one of the devil generals. Yeah, maybe they were trying to find Hiren's weapon that she now carries, and instead they searched the ship. She fell off the ship during the attack with the weapon, but instead they found this idol to Orcus, and it cursed their ship, and they ended up wrecked on Stormwreck Isle. Mm-hmm. And now she's putting all this together. Oh, that's so good.
I want to play this. Let's do it. Let's do it right now.
Invite some friends over. Let's roll some dice.
Yeah.
That is the one thing about the recap episode. We're not rolling any dice.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's not. It's fun. But yeah, harpies do some stuff. They gotta dive to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so. Lots of fun, lots of undersea adventures to be had. Mm-hmm. And then once they deal with the shipwreck, I believe they would come back to Dragon's Rest, and Runara would trust them enough to tell them the location of the Clifftop Observatory. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Sounds good.
Correct. And then that would lead to a fight. You can either approach by the land, which leads up probably some jagged path of some sort with.
Yes.
This is a blue dragon. So there would definitely be some crystals, some jagged blue crystals sort of leading up towards that location. Or they can go through the water and climb up the cliffs doing it that way. And
either way.
Because it's just off the coast. It's like just offshore.
Yeah. It is. However, getting there is a pain in the butt. This is a great place to throw some obstacles at them. Mm-hmm. Some falling rocks, some sea creatures, some of those creatures that may or may not be traversing the island. Like, for example, it says when they get to Dragon's Rest, there is a little blurb here to like, hey, if they want to explore the island, throw some encounters at them. There's hot springs. There's an owlbear. Come up with random stuff if you want to have fun and go a little off script. This is a great time as they're exploring the island, whether it be at the end or the beginning, to go a little off script and throw some stuff at them that you think is cool.
Yeah. Just because this is an adventure and it's pre-written doesn't mean you can't add some extra stuff in, because if you just stick to the script, this would probably only take 3-4 sessions. Mm-hmm. But if you want to flush this out and have it go on for a little bit longer, have them fight some owlbear on the ship, or make them flush out the Myconid colony a little bit more. So then have some cool, interesting characters that they can talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Speaking of the Myconid colony, to go back a little bit. So basically, the whole thing with the Myconid colony is there's a blight. These Myconids, they used to trade with those in Dragon's Rest. But recently, they're not trading, and they put a monstrous guardian at the entrance of their caves, and they're messed up because there's a blight, right? And that's part of the reason why Pyre's here. So when you go and interact with the Myconids, Pyre's handling all this stuff, doing their druid stuff. Probably this is about when Caprico is having that moment where they're like connecting with nature, when they're clearing out the blight in the caves. And this is a great opportunity as well to lay some groundwork for future post-island stuff. Like maybe the Myconids, maybe some of the spores, maybe they communicate, or some of the spores that the Myconids use to communicate with the group accidentally communicate something to them about the tomb, or maybe even at the end of the adventure, if you want to have a way for them to get into the tomb underneath the island.
Yeah.
And the Myconids are waiting for them to get rid of that dragon, Sparkrender, and then they tell them like, hey, it's time for a dungeon crawl. Go down into this tomb. There's stuff waiting for you. That could take them maybe from level 3 all the way to level 5 if you want to run that super heavy. And then from level 5, then you have so much stuff. You have the talisman, and they're being hunted. Capco's being hunted by mercenaries. They have the Orcus talisman that is maybe pulling them in different directions and is telling them things.
Yeah.
Hiren's running from this stuff. Pyre hears a story in the Clifftop Observatory, or from Runara that points them in a different direction.
Yeah. If you don't want to put them right back on the mainland to have them go with that stuff, yeah, the Myconid colony could be connected to a much larger network that leads into the Underdark, and maybe that's where the tomb is. So you can have like a cool little Underdark romp where they're leading through a larger Myconid colony, or maybe a larger like a section of the colony.
Yep.
Leads out into that.
And then they eventually reach the tomb of the Red Dragon.
Yes. The tomb of the Red Dragon isn't written in this, I don't believe.
In what? There's no.
They just reference it.
It's part of
this is the reason why there's all this unnatural activity on this small island, is because the island formed because of a ancient red dragon that had died, and the magic within that creature had grown this island just off the coast.
Yeah, volcanic activity because Red Dragon, baby.
Yeah.
And then, there actually is a description here. It says, the presence of such a powerful dragon far underground causes the volcanic activity that produces the nauseous fumes, which is part of the whole blight thing, sort of Myconid colony thing. What's more, the dragon's energy occasionally tears open small rifts in the fabric of reality that leads to the elemental plane of fire. Pyre probably wants to check that out if they would know about it or hear about it from the Myconids. The plane of fire is both the origin of the orange crystal blocking the vent, which is the thing causing the nauseous fumes, which is actually an egg case, and the creature's currently in the cave. The fume drakes and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
So already there's so many things where you can lead in and have little events going on past the written adventure. But as far as back to the Clifftop Observatory, we got a little distracted there. So again, they clamber up, they get to the Clifftop Observatory. They find that Sparkrender has a bunch of Kobold allies, and they can choose to be diplomatic with them, or they can choose to fight them. That's always an option.
Because Sparkrender's end goal is to perform a ritual to harness the power of the red dragon that had died here originally.
And Sparkrender is basically attempting, like you said, to do that ritual. And the characters, they got to stop that ritual. And if they don't stop that ritual, that could be... See, I love it when things like that happen in the campaign. Because the heroes in most stories... Well, I feel like most of the time in stories, heroes stop the thing that's happening.
Yeah.
But in your game, maybe they don't. And maybe that leads to worse consequences. Does that sound familiar?
Yep. And maybe this turns Sparkrender into some sort of hybrid dragon. It's like part red, part blue.
Oh my
Turns
God.
it into a purple.
That would be... Oh my God.
Start shooting out plasma beams and stuff, and this becomes like a very serious threat to the surrounding area. So then they have to get stronger and gather allies to defeat this new type of dragon that spawned from a ritual, the merging of two different dragon types.
That would be super cool. So let's see here. And then once that ritual either gets stopped or comes to its completion, they meet Adron, a bronze dragon wormling that basically Runara knows about. I don't know if Runara would have told them. That's sort of up to you as the DM. And then Adron could help them, or from there, perhaps Runara and Adron, as very, as dragons who know a lot of information, perhaps they share stuff with the party that brings them back to the mainland. Or maybe, oh my God, what if Adron, because metallic dragons can shapeshift. Can young or wormling metallic dragons shapeshift? Sure. So maybe they get a bronze dragon wormling NPC like party helper that shapeshifts and goes with them and is like helping them because they helped him.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so much fun. That'd be a lot of fun to play as the DM, first of all. That'd be so much fucking fun. All right.
Like it.
That's pretty much, and that, again, you could do the dungeon crawl to level 5 once, because I think this does take the characters to level 5, actually, Stormwreck Isle. And then past level 5, dungeon crawl, another ship comes by maybe and takes them back, or perhaps Runara, for job well done, gives them a ride back to the mainland. And then they're making sure that Caprico doesn't get killed. They're fighting off mercenaries. They could go to one of the major cities on the coast. They could go to Neverwinter. They could go to Baldur's Gate.
Wherever they want.
Yeah.
Wherever,
Then it gets pretty sandboxy.
all you have to do is, if you want to kind of gear them in a certain direction, just give them a real juicy tip. Have Pyre tell them a real juicy story about something that's going on in whatever place that they're going, that you want them to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to feel railroady, but you give them a real juicy plot hook, they're probably going to take it.
Yeah, well, you have to give plot hooks.
Yeah.
You just gotta.
Unless you want to keep it more open-ended, then be like, all right, where do you guys want to go?
Cool. All right. That's going to take everything past level 5 for sure. Tons of plot hooks. You could just choose a random city that you feel would be cool, or maybe there's one that one of your players hooks into their background. Maybe High Ren, maybe somebody on the ship that takes them back to the mainland, or maybe perhaps Runara herself has heard of wandering groups of turtles from other people that have come by, or something along those lines, and they all of these plot hooks sort of intersect at one major city.
Yeah.
Or in an area around a section of the mainland, and now it's sandboxy. You're going here, you're going there, you're doing dungeon crawls, you're finding Hiren's family, you're defeating mercenaries, you're defeating cultists who are trying to get Hiren's weapon back.
Or other cultists who are trying to recruit Caprico. There's,
Yeah.
you got a lot of juicy plot hooks.
A lot of juice. A lot of juice we just squeezed out.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I really like that.
You said it.
I just said.
You said it. We're rolling with it. Got that juice.
Got that juice that I just squeezed
I
out.
got the juice. Got the juice.
And perhaps the ancient mystery that's worth the price of a civilization that Pyre's looking for, perhaps that's the tomb underneath Stormwreck Isle, like we've been saying. Perhaps it's something that's connected to another dragon that did something somewhere else. Or maybe even they go into the tomb and they find out, oh, we're not strong enough to be here. We got to go do other stuff and then come back.
Yeah.
That's something really cool to do.
And you can leave it as some sort of timer. You don't have to like do rolls or anything for it. It's like, okay, well, if they go off and do too much stuff and leave this for too long,
it could backfire.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, another dragon will get drawn in.
Another dragon, a dragon that's native to the elemental plane of fire.
Oh my god! Yeah, the plane starts to spew out elemental creatures.
Or it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a dragon. Maybe it's just this very powerful fire elemental. You can do all sorts of goodies with that.
And then that gets Pyre involved. That gets Hyren involved. I mean, everybody really involved.
Everybody get involved.
And at the end of all that, there's definitely because at the end of all this, there is a legendary weapon, maybe, or artifact that was left behind in maybe Sharuth, that Red Dragon's hoard that lies within this tomb that they need to get to.
Yeah.
Oh,
and this could be a weapon that ties into Caprico. Maybe it's a devilish weapon.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be super cool. Could be
fun. Could be good. Could be fun. Or you can just use the stuff that it shows you. Yeah, just give him a +1 weapon and +1 weapon. Give him a ring of protection.
Don't be afraid to go off and choose something crazy though.
Yeah. But sometimes it's hard to come up with weapons.
That's true.
Especially when your players don't explicitly state, "Hey, this is the kind of stuff that I want." You should ask them. But if you don't want to, just throw them some. This is around the time where they should be probably getting at least like one solid magical weapon, magical item,
absolutely.
magic weapon. if they're a little squished in some previous encounters, throw out a ring of protection in there, some bracers of defense, something something to boost them up a little bit, make them feel good about themselves.
Absolutely.
And then you absolutely wreck them with a fire elemental.
Just coming in hot.
Yep.
Bum. You like that? You like that one?
I did. I sure did.
Yeah, I believe you. I sure do.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I think
that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. Gotta say it. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope we didn't meander too much. I hope that everyone's just excited about these characters as we are. God, I want to play them so bad.
I know. Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite of this group?
I really like Caprico.
Caprico's pretty great.
Caprico's definitely my favorite.
I'm leaning more towards High Ren, I think.
Yeah.
Personally.
I think personally, I resonate most with Pyre as like a player who I love improvising. And being
Pyre's the one
storyteller changeling.
Pyre's the improviser of the group.
Yeah.
So you leaning into it, you know what kind of voice do I feel like doing today? And just doing it. And just whatever you feel like. There's a voice you're working on, or some sort of idea you got in your head you want to flesh out as a different character.
And then you can just come up with random stories that Pyre would know and then work them into the story. Bada bing, bada boom. That shit's canon.
Yeah. That was DMs. Let your characters improv.
Yeah.
When you let them improv and that shit becomes canon, do you know how good that feels as a character? It's like, oh, I have as much say in what happens in the world within reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can be like, oh yeah, there's did you hear about the mass, did you hear about the incredible weapon that I have down in my basement? Or it's like, do you? You sure about that?
Yeah, that's funny. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
We'll catch you next time.